A penny, the kind you might ignore, drop, or spend without a second thought. Now imagine that one specific coin, a 1980 Lincoln cent with no mint mark, has been whispered about in collector circles as having values that could climb into life-changing territory, up to millions. Yes, millions. And here is the unsettling truth most people never hear. It might already be sitting in your home right now. This is not just about a coin. This is about a hidden opportunity that has slipped through millions of hands unnoticed. And once you see what to look for, you will never look at your spare change the same way again. The year is 1980. America is facing economic shifts. Inflation is rising, and quietly, billions of Lincoln cents are being produced. Most of them ordinary, forgettable. But in the middle of this mass production, something unusual happens. Subtle mistakes, tiny variations, nearly invisible flaws that only a trained eye would recognize. And yet, those tiny details are exactly what can transform a 1-cent coin into a collector's dream. Now here is where it gets interesting. The 1980 Lincoln cent without a mint mark was struck in Philadelphia. At the time, coins from this mint often carried no mint mark at all. So at first glance, nothing seems special. But what if I told you that within these seemingly common coins, there are rare variations so valuable that collectors have paid staggering amounts to own them? Let me ask you something. When was the last time you checked a penny closely? Not just glanced at it, but really examined it, the date, the lettering, the texture. Because hidden in those details could be the difference between pocket change and a life-altering discovery. Here is where the suspense begins to build. Some 1980 Lincoln cents have been found with striking errors. We are talking about double-die obvious details where the lettering appears slightly doubled, off-center strikes where the design is misaligned, and even planchet errors where the metal itself was flawed before the coin was struck. These are not just mistakes. In the world of coin collecting, these are treasures. And yet, most people miss them. Think about that. A coin worth thousands or even more could pass through your hands and you would never know. That is not speculation. That is reality. Now let us go deeper. Condition is everything. A worn coin might still hold value, but a coin in pristine condition, what collectors call mint state, can explode in price. And here is where the story takes a dramatic turn. There have been reports and market whispers suggesting that ultra-high-grade examples, especially those with unique error combinations, could reach astonishing values. Figures that sound almost unbelievable. Numbers that climb into 6 figures, 7 figures, and in rare conversations, even claims pushing toward $2.3 million for a perfect storm coin. Pause for a moment and let that sink in. $2.3 million for a penny. It sounds impossible. It sounds exaggerated. But the coin market has a long history of shocking the world. Rare coins have sold for millions before, and every time it happens, it reminds us of one thing. Value is not about size or face value. It is about rarity, demand, and the story behind the coin. It is the combination of availability and mystery. Billions were made, but only a fraction contain the errors and conditions that collectors crave. It is like searching for a needle in a haystack, except this haystack is your loose change jar. Now imagine this scenario. You are sorting through coins at your kitchen table, maybe out of curiosity, maybe just passing time, and suddenly, you notice something off. The lettering looks slightly doubled. The date has an unusual thickness. The surface seems almost flawless. Your heart starts to race. This is where most people make a critical mistake. They dismiss it. They assume it cannot be valuable. They move on. And that is exactly why opportunities like this remain hidden. Let me give you a one-liner you will not forget. Ordinary coins pay for coffee. Rare coins change lives. Now let us build the tension even further. There are collectors out there who spend years searching for specific coins. Years. They attend auctions. They study minute details under magnification. They compete fiercely for rare finds. And yet, some of the greatest discoveries have been made by everyday people. People who simply paid attention. Start with the basics. The date 1980. No mint mark under the date. Then examine the coin under good lighting. Look for a doubling in the letters of liberty and in God we trust. Check the edges for irregularities. Look at the alignment of the design. Every detail matters. Now here comes another twist. Not all valuable coins look obviously different. Some of the most valuable pieces appear almost normal at first glance. Their true worth is revealed only under magnification or through expert grading. That means a coin you might overlook could actually be extraordinary. And this is where urgency comes in, because coins are constantly being lost, spent, or damaged. Every day, potential treasures disappear back into circulation or get worn down beyond recognition. Time is not on your side. The longer you wait, the greater the chance that a rare coin slips away forever. This is not just a possibility, it is a probability. Now picture the climax of this story. You find a coin that matches all the signs. You send it for professional grading. Weeks pass, the anticipation builds, and then the result comes in. It is authentic, it is rare, it is valuable beyond anything you expected. In that moment, everything changes. The excitement, the disbelief, the realization that something so small could have such a massive impact on your life. That is the power of rare coins. But let us stay grounded for a moment. Not every 1980 Lincoln cent without a mint mark will be worth a fortune. Most are still worth just 1 cent. But the key is this: you only need one rare find, one extraordinary coin, and your entire perspective shifts. Here is the final revelation. The real value is not just in the coin, it is in the awareness, the knowledge that hidden opportunities exist all around you, that wealth can appear in the most unexpected places, and that sometimes, the difference between missing out and striking it rich is simply knowing what to look for. Do not toss it aside. Take a closer look. Examine each coin as if it could be the one, because one day, it just might be. And if it is, you will not just have found a coin, you will have uncovered a story, a hidden piece of history, and possibly, a fortune that was waiting for someone curious enough to notice. Now the question is simple: are you going to check your coins or let that opportunity slip through your fingers right now? It could be sitting in a dusty jar tucked away in a kitchen cabinet, or hiding in the loose change tray of your car, or buried beneath years of forgotten pennies in a drawer you have not opened in months. And if you knew what you were looking at, if you understood the quiet secret stamped into that small piece of copper, you might never look at spare change the same way again, because somewhere among the billions of ordinary coins there exists a version of the 1981 Lincoln cent. No mint mark, no special shine at first glance, nothing that screams value, and yet, in the right condition, under the right circumstances, with the right hidden flaw, it has sparked whispers, rumors, stories that refuse to die. Stories of coins selling for thousands, tens of thousands, even claims that border on the unbelievable. A single penny valued at levels that sound like fiction. But what if it is not? What if the coin you have ignored your entire life is the one that changes everything? The story begins in 1981, a year that looked completely ordinary in the world of coins. Millions upon millions of Lincoln cents poured out of the mints. Philadelphia working tirelessly without a mint mark. Denver stamping its familiar D. San Francisco handling proof coins for collectors. Nothing unusual, nothing historic. At least that is what people believed, because hidden within that massive production were tiny moments, split-second imperfections, mechanical inconsistencies, human oversight, and those moments, those microscopic slips in perfection, created something collectors would spend decades chasing: the 1981 Lincoln cent with no mint mark. Now here is where the mystery deepens. At first glance, every Philadelphia penny from that year has no mint mark, so why does one stand out from another? Why would one be worth a few cents while another could climb into staggering territory? The answer lies in details so small most people will never notice them, and yet once you see them you cannot unsee them. The world of rare coins is not built on what is obvious, it is built on what is overlooked. Think about this. Every coin is struck under immense pressure, metal meeting steel with explosive force, design transferred in a fraction of a second. Now imagine something goes slightly wrong. The die is worn, the alignment shifts, the metal flows imperfectly, the surface develops an unusual texture. These are not mistakes to the casual eye, but to a trained collector they are signals, clues, evidence that something rare has been created, and in 1981 some of those signals became legends. There are whispers of double details, subtle distortions in the lettering, moments where the design appears almost ghosted, as if the coin itself struggled to decide what it wanted to be. There are accounts of off-center strikes where the design drifts just enough to make you question its origin. There are tales of unusually sharp strikes, coins that somehow escaped the typical wear of mass production, emerging with a clarity so intense they seemed frozen in time. And then there is the condition. This is where everything changes, because even a completely normal 1981 no-mint mark penny can become something extraordinary if it exists in near-perfect condition. We are talking about coins that look untouched, uncirculated, preserved as if they were never meant to be spent, graded at the highest levels, numbers that most coins will never reach, and when a coin crosses that threshold, when it enters the realm of near perfection, its value does not rise gradually, it explodes. Collectors compete, bidding wars ignite, prices surge beyond expectation. A coin worth 1 cent becomes worth hundreds, then thousands, and in rare cases, far more. There are auction stories that sound almost unreal. Coins that sat unnoticed for years suddenly discovered, carefully examined, sent for grading. And when the results came back, everything changed. The difference between an ordinary coin and a high-grade specimen can be the difference between spare change and serious money. But here is the twist. The market is not always logical. Sometimes it is driven by demand, by hype, by the thrill of owning something that others cannot find. And this is where the rumors begin. Stories circulate online, collectors whisper in forums, videos claim unbelievable sales. A 1981 no-mint mark penny reaching extreme values, numbers so high they sound impossible. 100,000, 500,000, even claims approaching $1 million. Are these verified? Are they proven? That is where the mystery thickens. Because in the world of rare coins, truth and legend often blur. A single extraordinary sale can ignite a chain reaction, inflating expectations, fueling speculation, driving people to search their coins with renewed urgency. And suddenly, a penny is no longer just a penny. It becomes a possibility, a question, a chance. What if? What if the coin in your hand right now is not what it seems? What if it carries one of those subtle errors, that barely visible doubling, that slight misalignment, that unusual surface texture? What if it has survived decades without wear, protected, somehow forgotten, waiting? Most people will never know. They will spend it without a second thought, drop it into a jar, lose it under a couch cushion, and the opportunity disappears. But not everyone. Some people look closer. They turn the coin under the light, examine Lincoln's profile, study the date, search for imperfections, and sometimes, they find something that should not be there, something rare, something valuable, and in that moment, everything changes, because the hunt begins. Collectors across the country quietly searching, sorting through rolls of pennies, scanning thousands of coins, hoping, waiting for that one discovery. The odds are slim, but the reward is what keeps the story alive. It is what turns ordinary people into treasure hunters, and it is what makes the 1981 no-mint mark Lincoln cent one of the most intriguing coins hiding in plain sight. Now imagine this. You open a jar of old coins, maybe it has been sitting there for years, you pour them out onto a table, a cascade of copper. Most of them look the same, worn, common, forgettable. But then, one catches your eye. The color is slightly different, the surface looks cleaner, the details seem sharper. You pick it up. Your heart starts to race. You check the date, 1981, no-mint mark. At that moment you are standing on the edge of possibility. Is it just another penny, or is it something more? You examine it closer, turning it slowly, looking for those tiny clues. And this is where the story reaches its peak, because the answer is not immediate. It never is. The world of rare coins does not reveal its secrets easily. It demands patience, attention, curiosity. But for those willing to look, willing to learn, willing to search, the rewards can be extraordinary. Not guaranteed, but possible. And that possibility is powerful. It transforms the way you see everyday objects. It turns spare change into hidden treasure. It makes you question what else you might be overlooking. because if a single penny, something most people ignore, can hold this kind of mystery, what else is waiting to be discovered? What else is hiding in plain sight? The truth is, the 1981 no-mint mark Lincoln cent is more than just a coin. It is a reminder that value is not always obvious, that opportunity often hides where we least expect it, and that sometimes, the smallest things carry the greatest potential. It looks the same at first glance: copper-toned, worn edges, Abraham Lincoln staring forward like he always has. Nothing special, nothing rare. But what if that single coin, a broken bar, the one you almost ignored, the broken bar, carried a secret so explosive it could rewrite everything you thought you knew about money? And what if, hidden within its surface, was a story that collectors whisper about in low voice as a broken bar, a story of overlooked fortune, mysterious errors, and jaw-dropping claims of values climbing into the realm of $1 million? Most people will never notice it. Most people will spend it without a second thought. But you, a broken bar right now, a broken bar, you're about to see it differently. Because this is where the ordinary begins to fracture, and the hunt of broken bar begins. The 1996 Lincoln cent was struck in Denver. Billions of them were produced. That number alone should destroy any illusion of rarity. Billions. That's exactly the question that traps most people. They assume rarity is about numbers. They assume value is obvious. They assume a broken bar they would notice. But history tells a different story. Because sometimes, the most valuable coins are not the ones that look different. They are the ones that hide their differences so well. A broken bar, only a trained eye, a broken bar, or a lucky moment, a broken bar reveals the truth. And here's where it gets dangerous. Because the 1996 cent lives in your world. Not in museums, not locked behind glass. It moves through hands. It sits in jars. It hides in couch cushions. Right now, somewhere in your home, a broken bar, there may be one waiting, but not just any one, a very specific one, a version of this coin that has crossed into legend. And once you understand why a broken bar, you may never look at pocket change the same way again. Act 2: The secrets beneath the surface. It starts with something small, so small most people miss it entirely. A tiny detail on the coin, a slight shift, a subtle imperfection, a microscopic anomaly that turns a 1-cent piece, a broken bar, into something collectors chase with relentless obsession. Mint errors. That's where the story begins to twist. Imagine a coin being struck at high speed inside a roaring mint facility, machines pounding out thousands every minute, metal blanks rushing through like a river of steel. Now imagine something goes wrong, just for a fraction of a second. A misalignment, a double strike, a die crack forming where it shouldn't, a faint doubling in the letters, the ghost image hiding beneath the surface. That mistake, a broken bar, that split-second imperfection, a broken bar, can transform the coin completely. It has been linked to whispers of these anomalies. Collectors have reported double die characteristics, slight but unmistakable when seen under magnification, letters that seem to echo themselves, dates that appear thicker, almost alive. Others speak of off-center strikes, coins where the design drifts just enough to create a visual imbalance, not dramatic, a broken bar, but just enough. Then there are die cracks, thin lines creeping across Lincoln's face or through the lettering like fractures in glass. Each only a broken bar, a fingerprint of chaos in an otherwise controlled process. Each only a broken bar, a potential signal of rarity. But here's the part that pulls people deeper: condition. Because even without errors, a broken bar condition alone can elevate a 1996 cent into something extraordinary. Most of these coins entered circulation immediately. They were handled, scratched, dulled, worn down by time and human touch. But a few broken bar, just a few broken bar, escaped that fate. They remained untouched, preserved, perfect. Coins graded as the highest levels: a broken bar MS-67, MS-68, a broken bar. Even rumors of near-perfect specimens, a broken bar, have stunned collectors with their value. Because perfection is rare, even among billions, a flawless coin becomes a paradox, something mass-produced, a broken bar, yet nearly impossible to find in pristine condition decades later. And this is where the tension builds, because the market has shown a broken bar again and again, a broken bar that when rarity and perfection collide, a broken bar prices don't just rise, they explode. Auction records hint at astonishing figures. high-grade examples selling for hundreds of broken bar, then thousands of broken bar, then pushing into numbers that make people stop and stare. And then come the rumors, the stories that circulate through forums, collector groups, late-night conversations between dealers, stories of a 1996 decent so rare a broken bar so perfectly preserved, a broken bar so uniquely flawed, a broken bar that its value has been whispered to reach unimaginable heights. 6 figures, 7 figures, even the staggering claim of $1.2 million, because in the world of coin collecting a broken bar belief can drive value just as much as facts. And once collectors believe something is special, a broken bar, the chase begins, and when the chase begins, a broken bar, prices follow. But here's the question that changes everything, because that moment, a broken bar, is closer than you think. Act 3, the moment of discovery. Picture this, you're at home, evening light spills across the table, a handful of coins sits in front of you. You weren't planning anything extraordinary, just passing time, just curious. Then you see it, a 1996 D. It's just a penny, but now a broken bar. You know better. You pick it up, turn it slowly, look closer, and suddenly a broken bar. The world narrows. Every detail matters now. The date, the mint mark, the surface, the shine, the tiny imperfections that could mean everything. Your pulse begins to rise, because now the possibility is real, not guaranteed, but real. And that's all it takes, because once you realize that something ordinary could hold extraordinary value, a broken bar, you can't go back. You start checking every coin, every jar, every forgotten stash of change. The search becomes addictive, because the truth is simply broken bar, yet powerful. Treasure doesn't always announce itself. Sometimes as a broken bar, it hides in plain sight. The 1996 D Lincoln cent is proof of that. A coin billions have touched a broken bar, yet only a few truly see. And somewhere out there, a broken bar right now, a broken bar, a rare version of that coin still exists. A broken bar unrecognized, a broken bar unclaimed, a broken bar waiting for someone to notice the detail others missed. Waiting for someone to pause. A broken bar, look closer, a broken bar, and realize what they're holding. And that some in a broken bar could be you. So the next time you hear coins clink in your pocket, a broken bar, don't ignore it. The next time you get change at a store, a broken bar, don't spend it blindly, because hidden among those ordinary pennies, a broken bar could be a story worth thousands. A broken bar, maybe more, maybe far more, the kind of discovery that changes everything, the kind of moment that turns curiosity into obsession, a broken bar, and obsession into reward. But only if you look, only if you pay attention, only if you refuse to assume that something small. A broken bar has no value, because history has already proven otherwise, and the next chapter of that history, a broken bar, might already be in your hands. We're stepping into a story most people ignore, a story about an ordinary piece of everyday change, a story about the 2002 D Lincoln cent, a coin millions have held, the broken bar that almost no one has truly seen, and buried inside that ordinary copper surface, a broken bar, lies a mystery that has collectors whispering, a broken bar, and rumors that refuse to die, because somewhere out there, a broken bar, one of these pennies may have crossed the line, from 1 cent a broken bar to something unimaginable. And once you hear these a broken bar, you may never look at your spare change the same way again. The year was 2002. Nothing felt unusual. The world kept moving. Bills were paid. Coffee was bought. Coins changed hands without a second glance. At the Denver Mint, millions of Lincoln cents were struck, each stamped with that small, almost invisible letter D. A simple mark, easy to miss. These coins flooded into circulation, gas stations, grocery stores, vending machines. They became background noise in the rhythm of daily life. And that's exactly why they matter, because history has a pattern. The most valuable coins, a broken bar, the ones that shocked the world, a broken bar, almost always begin this way: ignored, overlooked, ordinary, until one day a broken bar, they're not. Collectors started noticing something strange. At first, it was subtle, a whisper in online forums, a photo posted late at night, a detail that didn't quite match, edges that looked sharper than they should, letters that seemed slightly off, surfaces that held an unusual brilliancy, a broken bar as if they had escaped time itself. And then came the question. That's when the hunt began, because in coin collecting, The difference between common and priceless can come down to something almost invisible: a tiny shift in the die, a momentary glitch in the minting process, an error. An error's a broken bar are where legends are born. Imagine this: a die, worn just enough, or misaligned by a fraction of a millimeter, a strike that happens too fast, a broken bar, or too slow, pressure slightly off, temperature slightly wrong. For most coins, these differences vanish into obscurity, but for a few wall broken bar, just a few wall broken bar, they create something entirely different, something unique, something collectors will chase for decades. Now the 2002 delinquent began to reveal its secrets. Reports surfaced of double features, not the obvious kind, not something you'd spot instantly, but subtle doubling, shadows on letters, slight echoes in the design. Then came talk of die cracks, lines stretching across the surface like lightning frozen in metal. Some coins showed an unusual finish, almost too clean, too perfect, as if they had somehow avoided the wear and tear that devours nearly every coin in circulation. And that's when another realization hit: condition changes everything. A worn penny broken bar is just a penny, but a coin in near-perfect condition, a broken bar untouched, a broken bar pristine, a broken bar can be something else entirely. Collectors call it high grade. The closer a coin gets to perfection, a broken bar, the rarer it becomes. They were used, scratched, damaged, forgotten, but the tiny number of broken bars slipped through. Coins that somehow avoided circulation, coins that stayed hidden, coins that, years later, would emerge looking as if they had just been struck. And when those coins were graded to broken bar, something remarkable happened. Values began to climb, not slowly, sharply. What was once worth 1 cent a broken bar became worth dollars, then hundreds, then thousands, and then the rumors started, stories of extraordinary examples, coins with rare error combinations, coins graded at the very highest levels. Collectors whispered about auction results, private sales, quiet deals that never made headlines. And then came the number that changed everything: $1.3 million. A claim, a rumor, a viral story that spread like wildfire. A 2002 delinquent sent a broken bar allegedly reaching a value so high it seemed impossible. Now pause for a second. Here's the truth. In the world of rare coins, a broken bar extreme values aren't about age alone. They're about rarity, condition, demand, story. And when those three align in a broken bar, the results can be explosive. We've seen it before. Coins once dismissed a broken bar later selling for life-changing amounts. Because the right collector a broken bar at the right moment, a broken bar will pay almost anything for the right piece. And that's what makes the 2002 penny so fascinating. It sits right on the edge, not ancient, not obviously rare, not something you'd lock in a vault. It's still out there, in circulation, in jars, in drawers, in the forgotten corners of people's lives. Which means a broken bar, the story isn't finished, not even close. Picture this: a man cleaning out his garage, dust everywhere, old boxes stacked high. He finds a jar of coins. Nothing special, just loose change collected over years. He almost throws it away, almost, but something stops him. He pours the coins out, starts sorting, quarters, nickels, dimes, then the pennies, hundreds of them. Most are worn, darkened, unremarkable, but one catches the light. It looks a broken bar, different, smoother, brighter. He leans closer. The date reads 2002, a tiny D beneath it. He turns it over, studies the details, notices something unusual in the lettering, a slight doubling, a faint line across the surface. His heart starts to beat faster. That moment, a broken bar right there. A broken bar is where everything changes, because once you start looking a broken bar, you start seeing. And once you start seeing a broken bar, you realize how much you've missed. The truth is, a broken bar, valuable coins don't announce themselves. They don't glow. They don't sparkle in obvious ways. They hide, in plain sight, waiting. The 2002 delinquent cent has become a symbol of that hidden potential. Not because every coin is valuable, but because some might be. And no one can tell you exactly which one has a broken bar until you look. that uncertainty, a broken bar, that possibility. A broken bar is what drives collectors. It's what turns spare change into a treasure hunt, and it's what keeps stories like this alive. Because somewhere a broken bar right now, a broken bar, there is a coin, a single penny, that doesn't belong in a cash register, that doesn't belong in a jar, that belongs in a case, in an auction, in history, but it hasn't been found yet. Or maybe broken bar it has, and the person holding it, a broken bar, has no idea. Think about the coins you've handled this week, the ones you didn't even glance at, the ones you dropped onto a cup holder, left on a counter, tossed into a drawer, or would it slip away? A broken bar back into circulation, a broken bar waiting for someone else to discover it. That's the tension, that's the mystery, and that's why the story of the 2002 delinquent cent refuses to fade. Because it's not just about a coin, it's about possibility. It's about the idea that something extraordinary could be hiding in the most ordinary place, and that idea, a broken bar, is powerful. So here's what happens next. You check your coins, not casually, carefully. You look at the dates, the mint marks, the surfaces. You tilt them under the light, search for doubling, for cracks, for anything unusual. At first, it feels tedious, but then something shifts. You start to notice patterns, differences, details you've never seen before, and suddenly a broken bar, it's not just change anymore. It's a puzzle, a hunt, a chance. Because every coin you examine brings you closer to something. Maybe not $1 million discovery, but maybe something rare, something valuable, something worth far more than 1 cent. And here's the part most people miss. The value isn't just in the coin, it's in the awareness. The moment you realize that hidden opportunities exist, a broken bar all around you, a broken bar unnoticed. The moment you stop overlooking the ordinary. Because once you see that a broken bar, it changes how you look at everything. The 2002 delinquent cent is just the beginning, a doorway into a world most people never explore. A reminder that even the smallest things, a broken bar, can carry extraordinary potential. So tonight, a broken bar, before you dismiss that handful of change, a broken bar. Take a second look, because the next coin you pick up, a broken bar, might not be what it seems. And yet somewhere out there, one of those tiny copper coins has been whispered about in collector circles, rumored, debated, almost mythologized. A 1979 Lincoln cent with no mint mark, a coin so common that millions passed through hands without a second glance, and yet in rare, extraordinary circumstances some believe it has reached values so extreme, so shocking that the number itself feels unreal, up to $1.1 million. Now imagine this. You reach into your pocket, your car cup holder, that dusty jar sitting in your kitchen, and sitting there quietly waiting is a coin that could change everything. Act 1, the hook. It always starts the same way. A late night, a random video, a story that feels too unbelievable to ignore. Someone just like you, not a collector, not an expert, finds a simple penny, a 1979 Lincoln cent. No mint mark, nothing special at first glance, but something feels off. The shine is different, the details are sharper, the coin feels almost untouched by time. They take a closer look, and that is when everything changes. Because what most people never realize is that the absence of a mint mark on a 1979 Lincoln cent is not rare by itself. Coins struck in Philadelphia during that year were not marked. But here is where the story begins to twist. Because not all coins are created equal, and some against all odds become something else entirely. Something collectors chase, something auction houses whisper about, something that turns a 1-cent coin into a life-altering discovery. But how? How does something so ordinary become something extraordinary? And more importantly, could you already have one? Act 2, the rising suspense. The world of coin collecting is not built on luck alone. It is built on details, on microscopic differences, on errors that were never meant to exist. And in 1979, millions of Lincoln cents were produced, flooding the economy, blending into everyday transactions. But within that flood there were anomalies, coins that slipped through unnoticed, coins that carried secrets. One of the most talked about possibilities is the presence of rare mint errors. Imagine a coin struck slightly off-center where the design drifts just enough to catch the eye, or a double die where Lincoln's features appear subtly duplicated as if the image itself is trembling. Then there are die cracks, raised lines cutting across the surface like lightning frozen in metal, and even more elusive wrong planchet errors, coins struck on the wrong type of metal blank creating something that should never exist. Each of these errors on their own can dramatically increase a coin's value, but the real mystery, the real tension, comes from something else entirely: condition. Because in the world of rare coins, condition is everything. Two identical coins from the same year, the same mint, the same design, can have a value difference so extreme it feels impossible. One might be worth a few cents, the other thousands, or more. Why? Because of grading. Professional grading services evaluate coins on a scale from heavily worn to absolutely perfect, and at the very top of that scale exists a level so rare, so difficult to achieve that only a handful of coins ever reach it. Mint state 67, 68 and the almost mythical mint state 69 or even 70. For a 1979 Lincoln cent with no mint mark, finding one in such pristine condition is like finding a flawless diamond in a pile of gravel. These coins were meant to circulate, to be used, handled, dropped, forgotten, so when one survives untouched, perfectly preserved, collectors take notice, prices begin to climb, and then, the rumors begin. Stories of coins selling for astonishing amounts, private deals, auction surprises, collectors competing behind closed doors, and suddenly a coin that once bought nothing becomes something everyone wants. Now here is where things get even more intense, because the market for rare coins is not just about facts, it is about perception, about demand, about the thrill of the hunt. When enough people believe something could be valuable, its value can rise. When stories spread, when headlines exaggerate, when whispers turn into viral claims, the numbers begin to stretch. And that is how we arrive here, at the edge of belief, where a simple 1979 penny is rumored in extreme cases to have reached values up to $1.1 million. Is it common? No. Is it guaranteed? Absolutely not. But does it ignite curiosity? Does it make you wonder, what if? Because that question, that single question, is what drives everything. What if the coin in your pocket is not just another penny? What if it is one of the rare few that slip through untouched? What if it carries a hidden flaw, a tiny imperfection that transforms it into something collectors would fight for? And here is the twist: most people never check. They spend these coins without thinking, they toss them aside, they ignore them completely, while somewhere someone else is looking closer, turning coins under bright light, searching for those subtle differences. And every once in a while, they find something that shouldn't be there, something that changes the entire story. Act 3, the climax and payoff. Now picture this moment. You are holding a 1979 Lincoln cent. No mint mark. It looks ordinary, but now you see it differently. You tilt it under the light, watching the surface. Is that a doubling on the lettering? Is Lincoln's profile sharper than usual? Are there marks, lines, details that stand out? Your heart begins to race, because now you know, this is not just a coin, it is a possibility, and possibilities when combined with knowledge can become powerful. Because the truth is, life-changing discoveries do not announce themselves, they hide, in plain sight, in the smallest, most overlooked places. A penny in your change, a coin in your drawer, something you have seen 1,000 times but never truly examined, until now. And suddenly, everything feels different, because now you understand why collectors search endlessly, why they study coins for hours, why they chase that one discovery. Because when it happens, when everything aligns, the reward is not just financial, it is transformational. It is the realization that something ordinary can hold extraordinary potential, and that realization changes how you see the world. So here is what matters. Start looking. Check every 1979 Lincoln cent you find. Look for sharp details, unusual marks, anything that feels just slightly off. Pay attention to condition, to shine, to preservation, because even without rare errors, high-grade coins can command surprising value. And with the right combination, the right condition, the right anomaly, the right moment in the market, you could be holding something far more valuable than you ever imagined. And maybe, just maybe, somewhere out there right Now, a 1979 no-mint mark Lincoln cent is sitting quietly, waiting for someone to notice, for someone to see what others have missed, for someone like you. But the real question is, will you be the one who finds it, or will it slip through your hands like it has for so many others? The next time you get change, pause, look closer, because hidden in that small pile of coins could be a story, a secret, a moment that changes everything. And once you truly begin to see,